Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
From the left hash, Falcons trailing by one. From 63 yards out, it was blocked. And the Saints win the season opener in dramatic come-from-behind fashion, trailed by 16 points in the fourth quarter.
That's how it sounded on Fox Television. The Saints do it to the Falcons again. I love looking at the win probability chart at ESPN.com. It's a chart that goes as the game is going along. It fluctuates the win probability for the game. And with Atlanta leading 23-10, mind you, this is before they kicked the field goal to go up 26-10. Atlanta had a 97.1% chance of winning the game. It was still over 90% before the Saints had scored the game-winning field goal, but still 97.1% late in the fourth quarter when Atlanta had the football, and the Saints still managed to rally and win the game. Atlanta has just been punished by these types of results. Our buddy Blaine Crane from Crane & Company, he tweeted a graphic that was a screen grab of all of these different Fox box scores, like the graphic that you'd see on the game, like during the game. Of course, they had 28-3 on there from the Super Bowl, 30-20 against San Diego. I don't even remember when that game was. A 17-0 lead against Miami with 12:50 to go in the third quarter. The game against Dallas a couple of years back when Atlanta led 39-24 with 4:57 to go in the game and lost. A 26-10 lead against the Bears with 6:22 to go in the ball game and lost. The 24-7 lead they had against Tampa, with 4.5 to go in the third and lost. And then, of course, the 26-10 game yesterday. This is just a franchise that has been miserable and does not know how to finish games. And it doesn't matter if it's Matt Ryan as a quarterback or whoever the head coach may be. But this is less about Atlanta and more about New Orleans. If you've listened to this show for any length of time, you've heard me say this in the past, and it bears repeating right now. You never, ever, ever apologize for how you win in the NFL. It is too hard. It is too hard to win in the NFL to apologize or make excuses for how you won. This isn't college football where you're a 3-touchdown favorite and you need to pull one out at the end and you get some lucky bounces. It ain't about that. Everyone is a pro. And yes, Atlanta had to leave the door even slightly ajar. But they did, and the Saints kicked it in and executed in the fourth quarter. When they had to score quickly, boom, 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 boom. 4-play touchdown drive. Welcome back, Mike Thomas. 2-point conversion. Got to stop. Boom, boom, boom. Right down the field again for the game, which could have been the game-tying touchdown, but they missed the 2-point conversion. Horrible play call, which we'll talk about. But then they got another stop. They forced a 3rd and 1, came up with the play. Of course, Mariota fumbled the football. The Saints get it back, and we know what happened from there. Ultimately, when the Saints were down 26-10 in the fourth quarter, the Saints were down 26-10. The drive chart went touchdown for the Saints, punt for the Falcons, touchdown, punt, field goal, end of the game. They made the plays offensively. They got the stops defensively when they had to have it, and they came up with a win to start 1-0. You don't think Cincinnati would love to be 1-0 today? You don't think Matt Ryan and the Indianapolis Colts would love to be 1-0 today instead of 0-1 because Rodrigo Blankenship missed a kick? Flip side of it, how do you think the Browns feel today with Cade York hitting a 58-yarder to beat Carolina? You never apologize for how you win in the NFL. A win is a win. They count the same, and it's on to the next. The reality about this game, though, is the Saints are pretty awful for 3 quarters. And it's crazy considering how the game started. Atlanta puts together a nice drive. The Saints come up with a hold to force the field goal. You're feeling good about it. You held them to 3. You get the ball back. You go 3 and out. It looked pretty ugly. But then it felt like the Saints had stolen the momentum after that point. You force a 3 and out. Taysom takes over. You go score the touchdown. You're up 7-3. Pete Werner comes up with a huge play to force the fumble, and you doink the field goal. So instead of being up 10-3 and having all of the momentum and having Atlanta think it ain't going to be their day because they're not supposed to be any good and their defense was atrocious a year ago and you got Marcus Mariota at quarterback and all that stuff, instead everything changed after that doink. Atlanta puts together a touchdown drive. They have the lead, and they would hold that lead again until the Saints ultimately kicked what ended up being the game-winning field goal with 19 seconds left. A couple of things on the game itself. Yes, the offensive line has issues. James Hurst was not good yesterday. Neither was Cesar Ruiz. I'll also say that there were times where Atlanta was bringing 7 and the Saints had 5 blocking. 5 can't block 7. So how much of that is specifically on the offensive line? How much of that is on Pete Carmichael and his play call? It was bizarre to see Atlanta bringing so much pressure and the Saints not dial up a screen until the fourth quarter. By the way, that was to Alvin Kamara when he got dropped for a 10-yard loss. Atlanta read it perfectly. But I would have expected a better game plan by Pete Carmichael than what we saw. But ultimately, and I thought Peace, the defensive coordinator from Atlanta, played it brilliantly. We all knew going in that the strength of the Saints team was Jameis Winston throwing to all of those receivers. And they pressured Jameis on every single drop back to where he didn't have time to go find all of those receivers. For the game, Atlanta had 4 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 8 quarterback hits, and 2 pass deflections. They just harassed Jameis Winston. And they were up 16 late in the fourth quarter and decided, hey, look, the only way we're going to lose is if we give up a quick score. So just keep everything in front of you. And they started playing off the receivers. They gave them even the slightest bit of space, and you saw what happened. Jameis made him pay, and those receivers made him pay. So it was validating to see the Saints put together the quick touchdown drives that they did, to see Michael Thomas go one-on-one with A.J. Terrell, the best cornerback that Atlanta's got, and to abuse him in the fourth quarter. It was invigorating to watch Jarvis Landry have 7 catches for $114. The one he made in double coverage on the left sideline on the second touchdown drive was incredible. It was the play call to Chris Olave and the 2-point conversion was awesome. We even got to see Juwan Johnson get involved as the tight end after the bizarre grounding call, which we'll talk about. They went over the middle to Juwan Johnson, who got him the yardage back to go kick the 51-yard field goal. So Juwan had a beautiful play on the sideline where he kind of toe-tapped and hurdled the guy. So there was a lot of good late in that ball game. The defense had to play well enough to keep them in it, and the offense had to make plays whenever they had the opportunity. Ultimately, they did, and they won the game. If I had 2 other takeaways, I would tell you that when the offense is churning, obviously, I think they can be special. And we saw that with how they played in the fourth quarter. And defensively, Pete Werner was awesome. Pete Werner led the team with 13 tackles, 12 of them solo. He had a TFL, and he had a forced fumble. There was a lot that didn't go well for the defense. You really need Paulson Adebo back because Bradley Roby had a rough day in a Debo spot. Having everybody shift spots because Adebo wasn't there didn't go great. And that's sort of the downside of not having Chauncey Garner-Johnson, right? Everybody, when Chauncey exited, everyone sort of had to move up a chair. And you thought, okay, but the problem is now when Adebo out, everyone else had to move up a chair again, and you were vulnerable. But Pete Werner was awesome. 13 tackles, 12 solo, a TFL. He had the forced fumble, which was an awesome play. And it's validating for why you let Quan Alexander walk. This is a player that they took with a high draft pick. that they believe in, that lived up to his billing in that game against Atlanta. And, as much as we all wanted Quan to be in New Orleans because he's an LSU guy, and because when he's healthy, he's really good, the reality is, and we've talked about it so much, Quan has never been able to stay healthy in his career. He's had one season. It was his second year in the league in Tampa. One season where he's played a full 16 games, then 16. One. And the Saints looked at Pete Werner and said, we like this guy. And he rewarded their confidence because he was awesome in that game for the Saints against the Falcons. Linebacker depth clearly is something that they need to address, but the combo of Demario Davis, Pete Werner looks like they're going to do just fine. So, fantastic game for Pete Werner. And Saints welcome in Tampa to the Dome this week. It's a very different challenge. I mean, this defense over the years has struggled with running quarterbacks. We saw it, with Jalen Hurts. We've seen it with Lamar Jackson. We've seen this defense struggle against teams with mobile quarterbacks. And Marcus Mariota made him pay with his running ability. He ran it 12 times for 72 yards. That opened up Cordero Patterson, who was really good. First time in 20 games, the Saints have allowed a 100-yard rusher. But it's a very different challenge this week with Brady and the Bucs coming in. And they have their own offensive issues, as we saw on Sunday Night Football, which we'll talk about a bit more as well. So you're 1-0, on to the next. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.